Welcome to Loremen, a podcast about local legends and obscure curiosities from days of yore. I'm James Shakeshaft.
And my name is Alasdair Beckett-King.
And Alasdair, this is spooky in a way we've not had before.
Nobody has heard a story like this before, except people who've heard this story before.
Yes, it's people who re-listen to all the podcasts. This is a brand new cryptid.
It's more than that, James. It's a phenomenon.
It is. Come with us, listener, as we go to the Peak District, to the High Peak, to investigate the High Peak beast.
And whatever you're picturing, it's not that.
It is. You are definitely wrong.
100% it's not that.
Alasdair, what I want to talk to you about tonight is not a load of stuff about broccoli that has been cut and put into the bonus material that is available to the Patreons.
No.
Including a patented life hack. But I got a new book recently.
What be its name?
Its name is Moor Mysteries.
Is that more as in the Moors or more as in M-O-R-E?
It's not a sequel.
Or is it more as in mother in Swedish?
Oh. Or it could be mysteries about the Moors from the past, because it is spelt the same way. It is Moor as in moor, as in some land.
Right.
And the region it's talking about is the Peak District. So it is Moor Mysteries. And you do wonder what he's going to call the sequel. He's painted himself into a corner there as Steve Cliffe. It's a great book. It's a decent size booklet, I'd say. The blurb on the back. What of Templar knights, Roman soldiers, a Bronze Age sky dish, crashed aircraft, paranormal lights and ley lines got to do with buried treasure, hidden caves, supernatural hounds, and a skull from a burial mound which cast a spell over a whole area of the peak? Find out on an investigative journey. Oh my gosh.
Does it say that?
Find out on an investigative journey into the lost heritage of the hills.
Wow.
I mean, that first sentence, that is like a Loremen blurb before you've had a go on it. When I've done my first go.
That's a reference to something only you and I know about, which is what the blurbs look like before I edit them.
What they start out as, some of the longest sentences known to man. Listener,
you're listening to the voice of a guy who doesn't know what a full stop is, but oh boy, he likes commas.
And a dash. I'll go for a dash as quick as you like.
A colon and a dash, making that little ... twang.
Yeah, it looks like I'm doing an emoji.
Wow, that was a great... And a sky dish. A sky dish, like satellite TV sky dish, or is that another thing?
That is another thing, because you probably can't put sky dishes up because it's probably, most of the area, it is probably listed.
It'll be an aeon, won't it?
It is. Have you heard of the Nebra sky dish?
No.
The Nebra sky dish, it was found, and it was a unique Bronze Age artifact unearthed by metal detectorists in 1999 on a hill in Germany. 1999. The Nebra disc is made from bronze with a beautiful blue-green patina. Patina?
I think it's patina.
Patina.
But you want to say patina, but it sounds like an instrument if you say it like that.
Its surface. Is it surface or surface?
Yeah, it's usually pronounced surface, yeah. Usually people pronounce that surface.
Its surface is decorated with celestial symbols in gold, and it's thought to have helped Bronze Age farmers with seasonal planting and harvesting using astronomical observations. Hey, Alice, that sounds like one of your Edinburgh reviews.
I was going to say astronomical observations like if you want broccoli to last, you can just pop it in some water. It's a flower. That's not going to make any sense.
Oh, unless you've listened to the Patreon bonus. Oh, speaking of dad jokes, though, while we're here, I just want to send you this sign that I had to take a picture of because I knew it would come in useful. It's the sign for Haddenham Carpets.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a carpet shop in a local village near me. And it's one of them signs where they've got their own like log line.
Mm-hmm.
and it's flooring specialists since 1975s. I saw that sign and I said to myself, I know we've had enough of experts, but this seems like it's taken it too far.
So what you've done there, James, if I can just break that down for the listener.
Please do.
Is rather than flooring the noun, you're imagining flooring the verb for, like punching.
As in to deck.
Or, to deck, to floor, to flatten.
You would wonder if they do have an outside, like, wooden flooring shop, which talks about decking specialists.
Yes, perhaps since 2003.
Because that's the same joke, but with different words.
Essentially the same joke, yeah.
But again, Alasdair, I'm not here to do a bunch of dad jokes. My tight 5 dad minutes. I want to tell you about Moor Mysteries by Steve Cliffe. And I want to tell you about the lights over Longdendale. That's a place name.
Wow.
Longdendale.
Longdendale.
Longdendale. I did actually speak to my mother-in-law for pronunciations for this.
Oh, wow. That's more than we normally do.
Yep.
Longdendale.
There we go.
So now we're paying out royalties forever. Thanks, James. Brilliant.
Because she grew up in the Peak District, and so she knows all these places. She knows your Glossups, which has a really good bookshop that I went into recently, by the way. She knows your Hadfields, where The League of Gentlemen was filmed.
Oh.
She knows your Tint Whistle.
Okay.
Seems to be a town that defines itself by what it isn't.
It's not a whistle. Very good.
I tricked you there. I do have more.
You do have more dad
5
jokes.
minutes.
Okay.
This is the area of the New Mills, which is a town where, and I'm queuing you up here, Alasdair, for what I anticipate to be an extraordinary anecdote / astronomical observation. The Swizzle, that's New Mills is the location of the Swizzle Sweet Factory.
Okay. Thank you, James. Strap in.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question for you. Actually, this question can go to the listener as well.
Unless you happen to be near them on a bus while they're listening.
Could happen.
Presumably out loud like a ruffian.
James, who invented Parma Violets?
Swizzles.
Okay, that is kind of irritating to me, but that is the correct answer.
Okay.
And I venture to say that some people listening to this podcast might have gone, huh? It's not Swizzles. Parma Violets were invented by Michael Faraday.
What?
Yeah, the well-known the inventor of the Faraday cage.
The cage fighter.
Scientist. He wasn't a cage fighter, but if he was, he would have been brilliant at it.
Michael Faraday?
Someone was talking about Michael Faraday, and I thought, I'll be helpful here. I'll be a good conversationalist. I'll chip in my Michael Faraday fact, which is Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets. I thought, before I do that, I'll just check.
Did you play your Michael Faraday alarm?
What would that sound like?
I don't know. Just because of the electricity.
Faraday fact.
Farafact.
Perhaps we should explain what Parma Violets are, because I'm not sure how popular they are internationally, bearing in mind that while I was Googling about this, I discovered that they are millennials' least favourite sweet.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're not popular in this country, and I've seen them. If I had been in a snarky frame of mind when you'd asked me the question, who invented the Parma Violet, I would have said, I don't know, some grandma. Because they famously smell
and taste of grandmas.
Yes.
They have the chalky texture of maybe a love heart, but without the love heart hook. They want to be pink, but they're basically white.
Yep. I think they want to be violet.
Well, yes, they're supposed to be violet, but they're barely violet.
Mm.
And you're right. According to the authoritative website, Mr. Sim's Old Sweetie Shop, which appears to be based in Hong Kong, looking at the Earl. But anyway, Mr. Sim's Old Sweet Shop says they're named after the violet flower of Parma, Italy, which it takes its flavour from. Parma Violets were launched in the 1940s by Swizzle's Matlow Company, although internet rumours claim they were invented by the scientist Michael Faraday. How dare you accuse me of spreading misinformation, Mr. Sims, if that is your real name? This isn't an internet rumour. I've believed my entire life that Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets, and I went to speak to
I thought you were going to say, no, I went to my grave still thinking that.
I went and asked my lover and confidant. I didn't cue her up in any way. I said, who invented Parma Violets? She said, Michael Faraday. I said, yes!
That's because you've brainwashed her, Alasdair.
No, we've never discussed it. We've never discussed this.
You mutter about it in your sleep. Your Farrow alarm's going off in your sleep.
Of course, she sleeps in a Faraday cage to prevent the penetration of mental energies. So I tried to work out, why do we both think that Parma Violets, why do lots of people think that Parma Violets were invented by Michael Faraday? And as usual, when you do, I'm going to say investigative journalism, I mean Googling.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes back to Johnny Ball.
The BBC Radio 2 broadcaster Zoe Ball's dad.
That's right. Thank you for explaining that for Americans who don't know who Johnny Ball is, but do know who Zoe Ball is.
If they know who Fatboy Slim is, the Fatboy Slim's former father-in-law.
That's such an obscure way of trying to explain who Johnny Ball is. He was a science broadcaster when we were kids who had a sort of mad scientist energy. He was very funny and enthusiastic.
But yeah, a lot of time for him.
He staged a number of musicals educating people about science, one of which was called The Michael Faraday All-Electric Roadshow, which toured around at least the north of England. Searching on Twitter has brought up a few people who have come a cropper in exactly the same way I did, and I'll protect their identities out of respect for the dead platform that is Twitter. But some of them have realized that the source of this apparent myth is the Michael Faraday All-Electric Roadshow, which toured around teaching us about Michael Faraday and what was Volta's first name? The Italian scientist? I want to say like Eugene, but no way was he called Eugene Volta.
That's such a nerd's name. How do you spell Volta?
It's like Volt with an A.
Volta Trucks. Alejandro,
which is Italian for Eugene.
Yeah. Alejandro Giuseppe Antonio Anastasio Volta. Now
that's an Italian guy's name.
That's all the Italian guys' names.
He sang a song about animal electricity, which is what he believed in, because if you wire
someone playing him, right,
some electrodes up to frogs' legs. Oh yeah, it wasn't really Michael Faraday in the musical, and it wasn't really Alejandro Volta, but he would make little frogs' legs dance by giving them little jolts of electricity. And I think we were all convinced that we were told that Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets, but looking back, I think what's most likely is that there is a scene in that play where they just throw out sweets to the audience. And I think maybe the actor improvised the line, and here's another one of my inventions. And we grabbed a hold of Parma Violets and thought, a fact for life. Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets. When, of course, yeah, you don't know your power, theatre and education performers.
Terrifying. We didn't get Johnny Ball.
Well, to be fair, we didn't get the real Johnny Ball on tour. No, it wasn't the real. Ball. We just got, yeah. We got a sub ball, yeah.
Oh.
We got an understudy, an under Johnny, if you will.
For the sub ball, that's bad.
I just wanted to set the record straight and reveal the origins of what I think of as a suburban legend.
That is wicked. That's really good. Thanks very much. You're doing the Lord's work there by clearing up. It
also makes you wonder what other sweets were invented by famous inventors who didn't really specialise in sweets. John Logie Baird did push pops, maybe.
Anyway, Alasdair.
Yes,
thank you for clearing up that confusion. I'm about to generate some.
Whoa.
It's a one in, one out policy on confusion, because I want to talk to you about the Devil's Elbow.
Oh, now this is a very familiar sounding place name construction. There's famously the Devil's in Derbyshire.
In Peak Cavern, aka the Devil's.
That's a fireman going up and down a pole.
Yeah, bottom hole. This is from Tom Middleton's work, and Thomas Middleton published a book in 1900 called The Legends of Longdendale. He's also the author of the Annals of Hyde and Old Godley. I think Godley's a play. Is that Ghoulie? Can't tell if it's Godley or Ghoulie from the picture.
Oh, it's not going to be Old Ghoulie.
The Devil's Elbow was created. It's a rock, right? It was created when a mystery light froze the devil's arm into a rock.
Ooh, a mystery light.
There's a lot of mystery lights up on Longdendale. They're called the Longdendale Lights. A lot of them centre around a place called Shining Cliffe. But again, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. What I want to tell you about is the 1950s.
Oh, yeah? Tell me about them.
And a railway man, John Davies, lived in a cottage and he needed to get home from Woodhead. And he was riding along a bit of the road called the Devil's Elbow above Nell's Pike.
So is he on a train or is he in a car?
No, he's on a motorbike.
Oh.
Actually, he was riding along Nell's Pike, which is a rocky edge above the Devil's Elbow.
I'm picturing him as a kind of greaser.
Yes.
Tearaway.
Yes. Like in that new film that's coming out. Yes, or Rebel Without a Cause, that old film that came out. Oh, what you rebelling? What's that rebelling against, John? What's that got? That's a little taster of the accent to come. Because we've got a quote here from John Davies. I was on my motorbike on a section up road known as Devil's Elbow. The moon lit everything up as bright as day, and as I rounded the corner, level with a farm, something sort of told me to stop. A great black wall appeared in front. I couldn't see through it.
Oh.
I had to stop right in front of it. It didn't frighten me, but I had a queer sensation. It was like a massive black slug sliding across road and up Moor. It had a head, just like a whale, and a white eye with a black pupil going round and round. After it disappeared, I got off and had a look, but there were nothing there. There you go.
James, that's the best thing I've ever heard.
Hey,
That's the best thing I've ever heard. What?
it's a big black slug.
Just appeared in the middle of the road.
There's an image.
With its eye spinning around.
You're kind of Googling around.
Yeah.
Boing.
From the description there, it kind of sounds like Devil's Elbow is a stretch of the road rather than a stone, like a hairpin bend.
Yeah, I think so.
From the way he describes it, it kind of sounds like a place where the teens would meet up and race.
Yeah, he said it was a section at road, didn't he? Section at road, known as Devil's Elbow.
But hey, everyone has two elbows. Well, not everyone.
Well,
but a lot of people have two elbows.
That's a good point. He described this encounter as between Ogden Clough and the track which enters the road above the higher Deep Clough farm. I've been over there thousands of times, but never seen anything like it. I've heard many stories about ghosts of Roman soldiers being seen on moors. They're supposed to appear at night on the first full moon in spring. I'd believe anything about this valley. It's a weird place at night. There you go. The words, not my words, Alasdair, the words of John Davies.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of stories of people seeing Roman soldiers. The Manchester Evening News carried an article in 1979 about walkers on the Pennine Way. 2 or 3 ghostly Roman soldiers wandering on Bleaklow. In 1932, 4 climbers breathlessly arrived at Crookston Barn in Edale and described how they'd lain in the heather and watched a Roman legion march past in the lane. So, yeah, Alasdair, what is going on at Higher Deep Clough Farm?
I don't know. There's some kind of giant slug situation. I frankly have no interest whatsoever in these Roman soldiers. Get them out of the way.
Yeah.
If I see a ghost, I'll just be like, get out, we're waiting for slugs. You can either help me look for slugs, Centurion, or you can get out of here. Hit the road, which you invented, so thank you.
What are they farming at Higher Deep Clough Farm? Massive cabbages? Because if they are, they're in trouble.
We're going to need a lot more salt.
You're gonna need a bigger shaker. Oh, lovely stuff.
Eyes rolling like a big slug.
You ever seen a massive slug's eyes? But Alasdair, leaving that, I've got another little story for you from Glossop and a place called Mouslow.
Mouslow.
Nice. Spot on.
And there they discovered a bunch of weird stones with strange carvings on them.
Please be carvings of slugs.
Well, in the mid-1700s, there were still remains of a stone castle on this hill called Mouslow, or as they called it, Castle Hill. Some very bad naming around there.
Low means hill, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Mouse. What does mouse mean? It means a mouse. So in the 1700s, there were the remains of the stone castle and ditches and earthworks, and they were going to build a small Catholic chapel. And it was due to be erected in 1780, but the workmen digging the foundations stopped when they broke into a vault and found, and I quote, "summat odd." And it was in 1840, so 60 years later, the Wesleyan minister George Marsden discovered some very strangely carved stones. And they've got 8 of them. He thought them weird enough that he would collect them, but he didn't think them so weird that he didn't build them into the eaves of his house in Hadfield. And they remained there until the Duke of Norfolk, a local landowner with a very inaccurate name, requested them. And he was very much of the vibe of, they belong in a museum.
Really?
And he donated them to the newly formed Glossop Antiquarian Society, who, it says here, kept them in storage for 50 years. So they did a proper Indiana Jones on them.
Just shoved them in a drawer?
Popped them in a box, in a cupboard.
I think they were better off in the guy's house where anyone could see them.
I think so too. So in 1908, they had been described as probably of Anglo-Saxon origin.
What's so special about these stones? Can you describe them to me?
Well, they've got these sort of pictures on, and let me use Steve's words here. One looks like a phallus, others like leaves or anvils. One seems to be the letter A. One's like the face of a cat or horned animal. Let me send you that picture. It's a very crude drawing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like the ghost of a cat.
And there, you got the phallus there. And one is said to be a woman with her hair in a bun, but special lighting is needed to see it.
Right, well, it's not that then, is it?
And 2, I've got can you see those little 5 indentations like on a die or a dominoes? That's known locally as the valley pattern. And it signifies a woman.
So, yeah, I was imagining something a bit less impressive, I'll be honest. Relief, they look like they're shards of a larger bas relief or something like that.
Something like that. And in 1984, Glynis Reeve took over finding out what these were and doing a dig. She was tasked with surveying and re-excavating a trench that had been dug in 1963 by pupils from Glossop Grammar School. So child labour had done a previous trench, and she was.
I thought maybe we should try an adult.
Well, she got help from the University of Manchester Archaeology Unit and site assistance funded on a Manpower Services Commission project. So they managed to establish that the castle was a Norman ringwork, quite a rare one, which was probably where an earlier Iron Age hill fort had been. They found remains of stone buildings and a spiral stair. As in the staircase, not S-T-A-I-R, not S-T-A-R-E. It's not someone rolling their eyes. So she was doing all this digging, and she realised that a lot of local people, quite anxious, nervous local people, were turning up and asking who the excavators were and what they were doing. So she thought, I'll put on an exhibition. That'll chill everyone out, create some positive interest. And it says here, one man came and stared at the stones for a long time, then left, shaking from head to foot.
Yep, terrible, terrible idea. Do you want all the lights to go out and someone be murdered?
He said they were evil and should be covered up.
Hey, look, I'm looking at them right now, and all I can say is that man is right.
Glynis commented that she wondered what people expected to find. An eavesdropping visitor said, the entrance to hell.
This is in the 70s, right?
This is 84 to 86.
This is within our lifetimes.
She received late night telephone calls, warnings of horned figures, the old ways, and threatening that someone would end up nailed to a tree. So to try and chill things out, she decided that on the Festival of Beltane in May,
this is a bad start to a plan. Carry on.
She and 2 of her colleagues would stay the whole night there.
Why? What is she? This is worse than the guy who insisted on leaving that cabbage patch open.
And they were frightened by rustling in the trees, and they saw torches in the woods. But she stood in the middle of the excavations and said in a clear voice, you have nothing to fear from us. And apparently after that, things seemed to calm down. The phone calls stopped and no one came in to complain.
So she just faced the supernatural powers, bopped them on the nose, and they backed off.
Well, yeah, it seems so.
Or did the locals who were harassing her back off?
So she decided that perhaps Moulslow was a site sacred and it was still used for religious purposes. She'd seen a TV interview on Chronicle TV with a woman whose identity had been concealed, who claimed to be the guardian of the old ways. And that was doco from 1977.
So she was probably still around.
Well, she was re-interviewed for a new documentary in 86, which also filmed the dig. And she declared that the dig, had brought the wrong sort of publicity, which had upset members of the old tradition.
The dig has brought the wrong sort of publicity.
Yes.
I'm trying to talk like a voice changer.
Nice one. Well, in the
Thank you.
80s as well.
Yeah.
They just get the guy that did Jerry Adams' voice.
In those days, they didn't even voice change you. They just plonked you in front of a window so that you were just slightly dark. It's like anybody who has the brightness controls on their remote. Just find out who you are.
But yeah, telly didn't have that power in them days, brightness.
No.
So they got the Mauso stones ended up at Buxton Museum, and they were assembled into an arch above the doorway, which I think was supposed to resemble the original, that Vickers, where he'd put them in his roof.
So they ended up back on an arch.
But while in storage in Glossop, they were said to have been the cause of malfunctioning computers and even a power failure. I mean, this was this would have been in the 90s, which is when computers did most of their failing. And there you go. That's what they look like over the archway of the door.
They look great because I know I'm for the first time looking at a photograph of them. They look brilliant, but they look quite crap at the same time. They look really Doctor Who quality special effects. And I don't mean I'm sorry, children. I don't mean your new Doctor Who with Disney money. I mean like bad Doctor Who, where it looks bad, but good at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And Alasdair, I'm just going to send you this picture. And I've zoomed in. I'm sending you a second picture where I'll zoom in on something I want you to pay particular attention to. It sounds like you found it yourself. You zoomed in.
Yeah, I can see something. You might say it was a manatee, a whale, or a fish of some kind. But if you squint your brain a bit,
it's a big slug.
It's a great big slug with an arm.
And then just above its sort of snout end,
wacky eyeballs.
There's two floating eyeballs.
Like a cartoon from the 90s. One's bigger than the other. Like Earthworm Jim.
Yes. So there you go, Alasdair. I think you'll find I've blown this case wide open.
Proof if proof be need be.
Proof if proof. Yes, exactly.
James, I'd like to shake you by the hand.
Thank you very much. So I think I'm going to write to Steve Cliffe and say, I think you'll find, Steve, there are more Moor mysteries. And we'll get a collab on a new book. So there you have it, Alasdair. The High Peak Slug, which may have been slithering around the area for thousands of years, or since the 80s, or since the Norman age, maybe.
That's incredible. The idea of a big black wall in front of him was good enough. I was excited enough about mysterious lights and a big black wall, but for it to turn out to be a giant slug, or maybe he just got smaller.
Yeah,
that could have been what happened.
Yeah, the slugs didn't get smaller. So you ready to score my slug, my big old slug?
Yeah, let's pop a number on this mollusk.
Oh, is it no? It's a nematode, isn't it?
I'm on the Wikipedia page for slugs, and it says it's a mollusk.
You've Wikipedia'd slug. Oh, it's a gastropod, which means stomach foot.
It's like those pubs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it really is not far from a gastropub. And but that's why I think that's why the idea of gastropubs makes me feel a bit sick.
It is a disgusting name. I've always thought that. And I'm sure a lot of people are with me. Maybe even more people than think Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets. No, I'm not letting you make that bonus. That is canon, full main episode quality.
Oh, definitely.
Facts.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We need to clear up at least as much as we muddy. I imply in there that I've muddied the Peak District by saying that there is a brand new cryptid, a big old slug slithering around. So, first category, naming.
Well, I appreciate the lengths you've gone to get the pronunciations right.
For once.
I really enjoyed
Cliffe.
There's the last two, Bleaklow and Cliffe.
Sampling Fatboy Slim style.
Oh, Johnny Ball's former son-in-law.
Yes, of course I'm talking about Johnny Ball's former son-in-law. I appreciated you sampling your mother-in-law. I think it's made the podcast 10% more radical and significantly more hip and rad. Wait, rad is just short for radical. That's the same thing again. Never mind. Yeah, great.
Cool.
Yeah, so, well, I haven't actually given you a number yet, so don't celebrate yet.
Londondale. The Devil's Elbow.
The Devil's Elbow's good.
Ogden Clough.
And I enjoyed the fun that you had with the name Moor Mysteries. I think we all enjoyed your enjoyment
Moor Mysteries.
of that semi-homophone, depending on where you're from.
Mal's Law.
So I'm going to say it's a 4.
All right.
And a lot of those points belong to your mother-in-law.
Yeah, all right. I'll let her know.
I said to the mother-in-law, could you record several place names into a recording device for me?
I said, will you be on my podcast?
She said, Longdondale. What? Wait. I think I can do a joke there. What was the name of the chuff place?
Ogden Clough.
She said Ogden Clough. I said, there's no need to be rude.
Hey.
There you go. It's the best I can do.
Next up, Supernatural.
5 out of 5.
Yes.
It's 5 out of 5. It's a huge,
Big old slug.
inky, black, slug-shaped 5 creeping inexorably across the road.
A great black wall appeared in front. I had to stop right in front of it. It didn't frighten me, but I had a queer sensation. It was like a massive black slug sliding across road and up moor, and up moor, and up to moor. He had a head just like a whale and a white eye with a black pupil going around and around. After it disappeared, I got off and had a look, but there was no, but there were not there.
Terrific story. Yeah, I've never heard anything like it.
Bunch of Romans just chucked in.
Yeah.
Probably cut them.
Shove your Romans, not bothered about them. But the slug, I love the slug. It's 5 out of 5.
The weird stones. Threatening telephone calls. A vault with somewhere odd in it. I haven't actually thought of any bespoke categories. I got too excited about that whole slug thing because I really only just realised that, like, I had 2 fun stories and then I only just realised that picture was of a slug just before we started recording. Really, really just came together at the last minute.
Yeah, it worked brilliantly. Do you have any thoughts for the third?
What the listener doesn't know is Alasdair nipped off to the loo there to give me the time to think of the last 2 categories because I hadn't thought of them previously. But all I've done is thought of 2 puns. So, category 3.
That's going to be radically different from the usual way you come up with category titles.
Category 3, the third. Category the third. But there's more.
Yeah.
There's more.
Yeah, because there was more.
Yeah, there was more.
There was more to my firmly held belief that Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets.
Exactly.
That was a rabbit hole that went not particularly deep, but still, it went down. You can't say it didn't.
It went into a vault where they found somewhere odd.
Where there's one big slug, there's got to be more.
That's the thing. If you only see one slug, it probably means there's loads in the walls or something.
If you have 2 friends who aren't giant slugs, then you're a giant slug.
Then, yeah, you're probably a giant slug.
Probably.
And of course, the moor itself of the high peak and that.
The Moor itself, yeah. Yeah. And the inevitable sequels to our Slug Jaws film, which I think we'll probably have to call Foot, considering that is what a slug has for a mouth and stomach, as far as I know.
Yeah. Ugh. Pod. No, that doesn't give the right idea, does it? Slug! Exclamation mark.
I feel like slug exclamation mark. We want to save that for the musical. We don't want to waste an exclamation mark now.
And so what are we talking?
Well, my feeling is that it's a 3.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I think.
But in the spirit of the category, I feel like I should give you a bit more and go for a 4.
Yes. Brilliant. Okay, and my final pun, dad joke, category, swizzle me this.
Okay. All right. Swizzle me this doesn't mean anything as a category.
But it's sort of like a riddle me this.
Mm.
And that Faraday bit of fake news was kind of a bit of a riddle that you solved.
Yeah, I suppose I did.
It was a swizzle that so many people were tricked into thinking that Michael Faraday invented the Parma Violet for no reason at all.
Yeah, there's no advantage to creating that myth. They can't have done it on purpose.
The swizzles that the guardian of the old ways and their followers were getting up to with poor old Glynis.
Just to be clear, James, you keep using the word swizzle as if it has an understood meaning that we all share. I'm not sure I know what that is.
Well, it's a swizzle, isn't it?
Is a swizz short for a swizzle?
I don't know.
Why would they name their candy confectionery company Swizzle if it means cheat.
Like a hoax or a cheat or something.
And James, I'm going to have to eat humble pie, which was probably invented.
It's invented by Einstein.
Yeah, I don't know, some famous inventor. I couldn't think of the guy who did those Hoovers. Well, like whatever his name is, Dyson. Yeah. Swizzle is a mixed alcoholic drink. According to the dictionary.cambridge.org, it's an act of spinning or turning. It's a small amount of something, especially food, that is circular in shape. So I can see how that became sweets. And it is a situation in which someone tricks another person or tries to get money from them dishonestly or unfairly.
Oh, yes.
You are absolutely right, James. It is the fifth or sixth definition, UK informal old-fashioned. The best kind of definition. Yeah, so I was really planning to give you a low score there, but no, I can't.
It's an absolute swizzle.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good about this. This is my last 5.
You're giving it to me. Nice. Thank you very much.
What were you picturing, listener? It wasn't a giant slug, was it?
If it was a giant slug, write in, actually, and we will get the help you need.
Mm-hmm. And if you thought Michael Faraday invented Parma Violets, also tell us.
But thank you very much, listener, for listening. And thank you very much for leaving us a 5-star review. And if you want to hear more, because there's definitely some bonus stuff from this one, join us on patreon.com/LoremenPod. And thank you very much to all the people who already do support us there. And thank you very much to Joe for editing this. And thank you, Alasdair, actually.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Thanks. And just to end the episode out, would you like to hear a list of other Swizzles products?
Well, yes. Yeah. We're not getting paid by Swizzles, are we?
No.
All right. Well, then read them in a sarcastic voice.
Mr. Chews.
Rubbish.
Rainbow dust.
Heteronormative.
Fun gums. Fruity pops. Climpies.
That isn't real. Climpies.
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 Climpies. And my final favourite, banana skids.
I think I saw them playing at university.